Having a thicker, muscular, more defined neck has literally been the thing that has increased my attractiveness the most. Like just having this right here, definition in the neck, and just having a thick neck overall has been the thing that has increased my attractiveness by far the most, right? I went from a point of having literally like chiseled abs. Like I'm talking, I was 9.1% body fat, lean, shredded, right? Having shadows under my fucking abs like ridges, right? I'm talking, I built shoulders, right? Round shoulders, muscular shoulders, where you could see shadows under those. I went from a point where you could count like literally the single bones in my rib cage. Like you could see my rib cage, count one by one the bones in my rib cage, right? I went from that point, and I've literally developed like the rest of my physique. I've even developed like my fucking traps, right? You see this? Look at this. Look, just just look at this. Like I don't have to explain much. Look how fucking developed this is, right? Fucking traps. No one trains traps, right? All you know about aesthetics is just like chest, abs, biceps, whatever, right? I developed all these muscles. I built a very, very rounded, well physique. And I'm telling you that even after making all this ridiculous progress in such a short period of time, I've only been training for 16 months, by the way. I've only been training for 16 months, so just over a year, right? Even after making all this progress in all these aspects of my physique, I can tell you right now that in terms of purely attractiveness, right, in terms of purely how many girls are looking over at me, how many girls are into me, right, it's just the neck that has made the most difference. After only training it for 8 months, right, after only training the neck for 8 months, all the other muscles I've trained them for like twice the amount of time. They've made tremendous progress, right? But the neck I've trained for 8 months. I've trained it for half the time, and it's given me the most results. Like, it's been the craziest thing, right? And at first, I kind of wanted to deny it because, like, look, just like you, the same advice I saw about building an aesthetic physique was probably just training like the chest, the biceps, the abs, whatever. But I also went more in depth and looked for research, and I found about the 7 aesthetic muscles. That's how I found out about training my neck, right? Because I had a skinny neck. I had like a small neck, right? Like it looked like my neck could just snap at any time, right? And I have a pretty big head, by the way. So like if my head just went sideways like one time, my neck could have snapped at any moment, right? So like from having like a skinny neck, I went into like in-depth research of like what are really the muscles that you need to train to build an aesthetic physique, right? Because my goal to building an aesthetic physique was just attracting the most amount of girls that I possibly could, right? So the general consensus was, right, you need to build a feet taper. This was the most important thing that people talked about. You need to build a feet taper. So like feet taper just means you need to train these muscles right here, like this muscle right here, the lats, right? So if you train the lats, these are going to give you the width, and when you have the width, it's going to make your shoulders wider than your waist, right? So you need to hit that golden ratio of 1.6. That's the golden ratio, the shoulder to waist ratio, right? That's like more in depth than I really need to explain, right? But once you have like a free taper where your waist just looks a lot smaller than your shoulders, that's basically the general thing about building an aesthetic physique, right? So most people know this surface level information, right? You know that you need to develop a free taper to build an aesthetic physique, right? But I went more and more into like in-depth research, and I found out that there's something called the 7 aesthetic muscles, right? And I'm glad I found out about this pretty early into my journey, right? So the 7 aesthetic muscles are these muscles which basically prioritize the free taper, but they also give you like something that's more important, which is the thickness up here that you need, right? So I'll explain that in a minute, right? So the 7 aesthetic muscles are neck, upper traps, lateral delts, upper chest, abs obliques, biceps, and lats, right? Those are the 7 aesthetic muscles, right? And just as I explained before, they do prioritize the free taper, right? So they give you the shoulder to waist ratio that you want for aesthetics, but they also make this upper region more developed and like thicker and muscular, right? So instead of just like chest, you want to develop your upper chest. Instead of just like not training neck, you want to train your neck and you want to train your traps, right? That way you have like this whole region developed right here. But I trained my neck, right? Now I'm telling you from first-hand experience, right? This has made more difference than even the V-taper itself. And I have crazy developed lats, right? From 16 months of training, the one thing that I really focused on the most was the lats, because again, the lats give you the V-taper, right? They give you the width that you need. So I focused mostly on the lats, right? I'm talking right now, I can fucking pull down like 120 kgs for 3 sets of 12, right? I just focused on the lats. So I have thick developed lats, right? But even then, just having the neck has been the craziest thing, because the neck, think about it, it's always visible, right? And whatever you're going to put on, your neck is always going to be visible. People can see your neck in anything that you wear, right? You go to the club, right? You go to the club in a t-shirt, you go to the club in whatever, right? Even under the club lighting, the dark LED type lighting, right? You can see the definition in your neck. And obviously, when you have a trained neck, your whole physique is trained as well. You don't accidentally have a developed, thick, muscular neck. It doesn't just accidentally happen, right? It's intentional, right? So like when people see this, right, it just subconsciously tells them that like your whole physique is trained, even if they can't see the rest of your physique, right? And the opposite is true. When I had a skinny neck, right, even before saying anything, even before like whatever, people could just look at me and know that I have a skinny physique. Like they could just tell my entire physique is skinny. I have no physique, whatever, just by looking at the thickness of my neck, even if I was in a hoodie, if I was in whatever, right? Like this has been the thing that's increased the attraction, the confidence, the respect from men, right? Because obviously like other guys are gonna look at you and think this guy is got like a thick developed neck, right? They're just going to respect you subconsciously right off the bat without knowing why, really, because it's like, bro, neck is one of those like primal what do you call, the science of masculinity, right? And I don't even mean to sound like to sound like autistic cringe, whatever, right? But it really just is what it is, right? It's really just is what it is. Like the thicker my neck gets, I've noticed this actually. I've noticed this even more when I train neck. The days when I have neck training. The days when I have neck training and I'm doing my sets for neck, right? When I have a neck pump and my neck is just like, it's, you don't understand. When my neck, like everyone around is just looking. Because no one trains neck. Again, this is probably the first time you're hearing about something called neck training, right? Everyone is just looking and like, the neck is just developed, it's thick, it's like vascular, it's amazing. It's amazing to say the very least, right? And like, because no one trains neck, this should just give you a competitive advantage. If you're going to start training neck, this should just give you a competitive advantage to say like, look, if no one's training neck, you start training neck, then you also see results for yourself, right? But this is more about me. I'm going to tell you about me because I've made I've made the progress in the neck training, right? So like once again, I said like no one trains neck. And also when I started doing like a little bit of research into neck training after I'd been training it for like 6 months, right? So I was really researching like what are the best exercises. I was really researching like how does your neck actually grow, like what are the muscles that reach hypertrophy, whatever, right? I found out that the little bit of information that's online about neck training, right? The general consensus is if your neck, so you see where your jawline ends, right? Here where your jawline ends. If your neck aligns to where your jawline ends, which means it's just a straight line straight down like this, then that means you don't even need to train neck at all, right? Because apparently that's like the most optimal situation where if your neck is just aligned to your jawline, then it's thick enough, you don't need to train it, whatever, right? And I think this is like terrible information, right? I think this is terrible information for many reasons. First of all, I don't even think that having it aligned to your jawline is thick enough to begin with, right? I think your neck should just be like, the thicker my neck gets, the more and more like attractive I become, right? And it's not even like I'm saying this to really try and convince you of something. I can put up pictures side by side where you can't see my whole physique, but you can just tell in the pictures. One, my neck is super skinny before training it. One, my neck is like muscular after training it for just 8 months. And you can tell the difference is day and night. The difference is day and night. And even if I kept all other factors constant, even if I did not train in that whole other time period, I only trained neck, I didn't train everything else. Like, the difference would have been massive either way. Just having the thicker neck would have boosted me up so many points, right? So like, I don't even think that having it, as the people online say, like just like aligned, is good enough. The thicker my neck gets, the more attractive I see myself becoming month after month. So I would really like to believe that like years of neck training is really like what's going to make the biggest difference, right? More like the prime Mike Tyson neck, that's really going to make the biggest difference, right? So to round things up, right? Neck has been one of those things that's like no one talks about it, but it makes the biggest difference. Online influencers don't even talk about neck training. No one is training neck, but this is going to be it's going to really make the biggest. It's made the biggest difference in my life, to say the very least. It's made the biggest difference in my life. So I was super excited to share this with you guys, to like hopefully put you on. That way, when you see results for yourself, you can remember that that guy was talking about training your neck time and time again, right? You train your neck twice a week. I train mine twice a week, 3 sets to failure. And, I've seen results. So that's the information I had for you today. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel.